Good evening to everyone in the gallery and those joining us online this evening. My name is Pradeep Tiwari and I'm the Mayor of the City of Maribyrnong, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this August 2025 Council meeting. I declare the meeting open at 6:33 p.m. Maribyrnong City Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung and Boon Wurrung Boonwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation, and pays its respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I'd just like to remind everyone to either switch off their phones or turn them to silent. And I advise the gallery that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on Council's website. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, your presence may be recorded. In accordance with Council's governance rules, meetings may not be photographed, filmed or recorded without the consent of the Chief Executive Officer. I advise there are no apologies for tonight's meeting. Councillors, are there any leave of absence requests? Nope. In accordance with the Local Government Act 2020, do any councillors have a conflict of interest in relation to any of the agenda items tonight? Nope. So we'll proceed to public question time. We now move to public question time. And public question time is managed in accordance with Council's governance rules. Members of the public can submit a maximum of 3 questions prior to the commencement of the meeting. As Chair, I will decide who answers the question. Public question time is limited to 15 minutes unless councillors consent to an extension. Council has received 25 questions. I'll start by I'll say the first question is by Jess Barrett, who asks the following questions. Has Council reviewed the updated 2025 UN From Economic of Occupation to Economy of Genocide report naming HP as an enabler of apartheid? When does its current contract for HP devices, directly or via MAV, expire? And I'll get the Director of Customer and Corporate Services.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. So Council does not hold a contract directly with HP. As the submitter suggests, Council engages a number of suppliers under the MAV or Municipal Association of Victoria Telecommunications Contract number NPN 1.18, where HP is listed as one of the panel contractors. The MAV panel is valid until the 30th of April 2028.
Thank you. The second question is, given Council's 2023 commitment to divest from companies complicit in Palestinian oppression and the Council previously referenced Durbin lead, has the Council considered adopting a position similar to Durbin Council's decision to cease procurement from HP? Back to you, please, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. So Council has considered a response to the notice of motion in 2023 of November supporting peace in Gaza and Palestine at its July 2024 Council meeting, with actions from the notice of motion considered closed. Council is not currently considering any further action on this matter at this time.
Thank you. The third question is Caltex currently used as a Council's fuel supplier? And if so, will Council review Chevron's role in resource extraction and its contribution to the blockade of Gaza, as detailed in the 2025 UN Human Rights Council From Economic of Occupation to Economy of Genocide report? Back to you, please, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. So Council does not hold a direct contract with Caltex as Council's fuel supplier. Rather, it maintains a direct contract with Fleet Card Services, similar to other councils, which provides access to a network of pre-qualified fuel suppliers.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question, which is by Fadhullah Yusuf, who asks the following questions. Question 1. Under Section 45 of the Local Government Act 2020, each council must have a Chief Executive Officer employment and remuneration policy that sets out the process for determining the CEO's remuneration, including performance review mechanisms and approval responsibilities. In light of the recently endorsed 2025-26 annual budget, which allocates approximately $145 million in planned expenditure, could Council please explain, in accordance with its policy, the process currently used to determine the CEO's remuneration? I'll respond to that one. So, in accordance with Section 45 of the Local Government Act 2020, Maribyrnong City Council has adopted a Chief Executive Officer employment and remuneration policy, which outlines the process for determining the CEO's remuneration. Council adopted the policy at the ordinary meeting of Council on 16th of November 2021. This process includes annual performance reviews conducted by the CEO Employment Matters Committee, a delegated committee of Council containing a majority of current councillors and an independent advisor. Consideration of independent professional advice to ensure remuneration decisions are consistent with public sector standards, alignment with the Victorian Government's wages policy and relevant determinations of the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal, independent benchmarking against similar roles in the sector to ensure fairness and competitiveness. The CEO's remuneration is reviewed annually, and any adjustments are subject to Council approval following the performance review process. The second question is, the Local Government Act 2020 and the Public Transparency Policy require that governance processes, including those relating to CEO remuneration, are open and accessible to the community unless an exemption applies. Could Council please provide references or documentation that outline the specific process for setting the CEO's remuneration, including any benchmarks or external reviews used, and identify who is responsible for approving it? I'll also answer that one. So Council is committed to transparency and accountability in line with the Local Government Act 2020 and its public transparency policy. The CEO employment and remuneration policy is available for public inspection and outlines the governance process for setting CEO remuneration. The policy can be found on Council's website and was part of the agenda at the Public Council meeting on 16th of November 2021. The agenda and minutes are available on the website. If residents are unable to locate it, we are happy to make it available on request. The key elements of that include use of any external benchmarking and independent advice to inform remuneration decisions, a structured performance review process and reports against agreed KPIs set by Council with the process of review led by the CEO Employment Matters Committee, which also includes a summary report provided by the independent advisor. Final approval of remuneration outcomes rests with the full Council, ensuring oversight and accountability. Documentation such as the Instrument of Delegation, Council meeting minutes and the CEO Employment and Remuneration Policy can be accessed via Council's website or by a request through the Governance team. And the final question is, under the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020, councils must disclose in their annual report the remuneration range for the Chief Executive Officer, and under Section 45 of the Local Government Act 2020, must have a Chief Executive Officer employment and remuneration policy available for public inspection. Could Council confirm whether the CEO's remuneration range is disclosed in the most recent annual report and where this can be found? If it is not disclosed, could Council explain why and advise how residents can access this information? I'll provide a response. So in the 2023-24 annual report, which can be found on the Council's website, the remuneration range is disclosed under the corporate governance section, which includes remuneration bands for key management personnel, including the CEO. This can be found on page 226 of the report. We'll move on to the next question, which is by Shifra Bluestein, who asks the following questions. Question 1. Which Maribyrnong councillors are registered to attend the 2025 Australian Local Government Against Anti-Semitism Conference running in September at the Gold Coast? I'll hand it over to the Director of Customer and Corporate Services.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. As far as we were at this stage, there are no Maribyrnong councillors currently registered to attend the 2025 Australian Local Government Against Anti-Semitism Conference, though that may change.
Thank you. The second question is, how many past and present councillors or executive team members have joined study tours, programs, trips or activities, A, to Israel, B, funded by the Israeli government, or C, relating to Israel? Back to you, Lucas, to answer, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, I can confirm that no members of the past or present council or executive team members have joined study tours, programs, trips or activities to Israel funded by the Israeli government or relating to Israel.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question by Terry Summerless, who asks the following questions. Question 1. Maribyrnong City Council has not publicly released a detailed framework for how it will measure the impact of deploying local laws, officers and security guards into Footscray Mall. Can councillors please provide details how and what areas they intend to measure outcomes and impact? And back to you, Director of Planning and Environment Services. Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, the following actions will be undertaken to track the impacts of the temporary security program in Central Footscray. Quarterly perception of safety surveys of community, visitors and traders, including baseline data prior to commencement, a midpoint survey and endpoint survey, and feedback will be regularly sought from local support services and community organisations who participate in Council's Maribyrnong Homelessness Response Group to gauge impact on vulnerable communities and opportunities to improve. Council has also commenced discussions with Victoria University to provide independent evaluation with a report on findings provided at the end of the temporary security program.
Thank you. And the second question is, Maribyrnong City Council has not publicly outlined the specific training or additional resources that will be provided to local law officers for their duties in Footscray Mall. However, considering the increased community interest and concerns regarding respectful engagement, could the Council please detail the measures being implemented to ensure clear, transparent operational guidelines? Specifically, how will the Council ensure the protection of human rights, consistent, respectful conduct and transparency in enforcement? Back to you, please, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, all staff at Maribyrnong City Council are legally required to adhere to standard workplace OH&S law and abide by the Maribyrnong Social Justice Framework 2023 to 2033 and the Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act 2006. As well as standard line reporting, the following measures will be undertaken. An induction process that includes mental health, first aid, de-escalation, cultural awareness, human rights and inclusive conversations training, including included as standard for all local laws staff. Operating guidelines that continue an empathy-led, wellbeing first approach with no new enforcement powers granted to security personnel or local laws officers. Ongoing collaboration with local service providers, including opportunities for them to accompany local laws officers in engaging with vulnerable residents. And regular reporting and oversight with clear accountability processes to address concerns about conduct or impact.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question, which is by Madeline Surley. She asks the following questions. Question 1. Would Council please explain why there are still 5 illegal located shipping containers in the Anglers Tavern car park as at tonight's meeting? And I'll hand it back to you, Director of Planning and Environment, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. 5 illegally located shipping containers remain within the Anglers Tavern car park despite repeated notices and subsequent infringements issued by Council. Council will now be escalating the matter through the courts to have these shipping containers removed.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Is by Warren Penner, who asks the following questions. Question 1. Queensland fruit fly impacted my productive garden in Footscray for the first time ever last season. Fruit fly is a significant agricultural pest that affects a wide range of fruits and vegetables, causing substantial economic damage and damage to our homegrown food supply. Although it is the Department of Agriculture's responsibility, it takes a community to control its spread. How will Council educate our community on best practice fruit fly management in the lead up to this season? I'll hand it to the Director of Planning and Environment again, Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Fruit fly continues to be a concern in Maribyrnong, especially for home gardeners and local growers. We understand that both Mediterranean and Queensland fruit fly species can cause serious damage to fruit and vegetable crops. Early detection and good garden practices are the best way to manage this pest. Council has previously run workshops to help residents learn how to identify fruit fly and protect their gardens. We also share practical resources through our My Smart Garden program, including tips on fruit tree care and pest control. You can find helpful information on Queensland fruit fly on the My Smart Garden website. In addition, ABC Gardening Australia offers great advice in identifying fruit fly, issuing netting and making simple homemade traps. Agriculture Victoria also provides detailed guidance on managing both Mediterranean and Queensland fruit fly. We'll be promoting these resources again through our newsletters as we head into the spring and summer growing season. We're also looking at ways to include this information in our website, social media and future workshops. If you suspect fruit fly in your garden, please report it to Agriculture Victoria, and you can do this online or by calling the Exotic Plant Pest Hotline on 1800 084 881.
Thanks, Mike. And I just noticed we've just finished our first 15 minutes. So with the consent of Council, I wish to propose an extension to the public question time of 15 minutes. Councillors, do I have your consent? Yes. Well, thank you, Councillors. We'll now continue with public question time. So the next question is asked by Stephen McIver-Smith, who asks the following questions. Question 1, given the Seddon community was first promised a detailed master plan with an implementation timeline for Harris Reserve more than 5 years ago, but now has to contend with a basic concept plan with no implementation timeline, what guarantee can Council provide users of this popular park that funding will ever be allocated to it to fulfil its vision? I'll get the Director of Infrastructure, Acting Director of Infrastructure, to reply.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and through you. The assessment of lighting designs will be undertaken in greater detail as part of internal budget proposals. The intent of the lighting is not to create evening use of the park, rather allow users to safely walk through the site. The lighting design will be done in a manner that considers crime prevention through environmental design principles, ensuring any adverse consequences of proposed lighting are considered and addressed.
Thank you, Peter. Second question is, given that it has unnecessarily taken 5 years to develop this concept plan, Councillor Thomas, did you have something to add before I go?
It sounded like the Acting Director was perhaps responding to a different question, not the think the question was around the master plan and fulfilling the vision. And he did talk about lighting, so I'm just wondering if...
Okay, I'm going to re-ask that question and then I'll ask you to answer if that's okay. Thank you for that, Councillor Thomas. So, Stephen McIver-Smith asked the following questions. Given the Seddon community was first promised a detailed master plan with an implementation timeline for Harris Reserve more than 5 years ago, but now has to contend with a basic concept plan with no implementation timeline, what guarantee can Council provide users of this popular park that funding will ever be allocated to it to fulfil its vision?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The funding of capital works is subject to an annual process of prioritisation. The items captured in the concept plan will form budget bids and prioritised annually based on priorities across the entire municipality.
Could I add, Mayor, to that
Please,
answer?
please do.
Because I do want to reassure the community that the Harris Reserve works are in the budget and will be happening. So it will be done over 2 stages. The first stage is this coming year, and there is 100,000 in there for that. The following second year, which includes some lighting, the amount is it will be around 200,000. We haven't got a final for that yet, and that is in the certainly in the budget under minor park upgrades. Can I suggest, Mayor, that we might want to put that through for consideration next year as a line item in the budget so the community can clearly see that that's there. So the idea is that it is done over 2 years, the first year being this financial year and the second year to complete the works in 26-27.
I think that would be a good consideration. So, thank you. I'll move on to the next question, which is, given that it has unnecessarily taken 5 years to develop this concept plan, and therefore during this time any annual funding that would normally be requested to upgrade the park were put on hold, can councillors please give due consideration to requesting the administration prepare a funding submission to council's next budget process, asking for a quantum of funds to implement various elements of the plan commensurate with recouping these 5 lost years? And I'll go back to you, Acting Director Peter, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, once the concept plan is endorsed, the budget bids will be created for future consideration.
Can I just add to that, Mayor?
Sure. Thank you, Peter. Yes.
Just so the public are clear, each year the council approves its budget. They do have a longer 4-year and 10-year plan for capital works, and but each year the council will approve the money, the appropriation for that year. So we have it in this happening over 2 years. We have a plan for it. We have the money in our forward plan, but it won't be till 26-27 that the council will vote on that. But I am confident, Mayor, that as the plan is to have these works done over the next 2 years, that will happen.
Thank you. And the third question. Given Harris Reserve has significant plantings of mature evergreen trees whose canopies block out any nearby street lighting into the park, including a proposed new planting of an evergreen feature tree in the centre of the park, how does Council justify to the users of this park in the late afternoon and evening the inclusion of just 2 proposed low-level park lights at only 2 of the 4 entrances to the park? And back to you, Peter, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, excuse me, the assessment of lighting designs will be undertaken in greater detail as part of internal budget proposals. The intent of the lighting is not to create evening use in the park, rather allow users to safely walk through the site. The lighting design will be done in a manner that considers crime prevention through environment design principles, ensuring any adverse consequences of proposed lighting are considered and addressed.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question by Sally Thompson, who asks the following questions. Question 1, Council has indicated that it will employ security guards to patrol Central Footscray to implement bylaws. If the security guards identify mentally ill people that they deem to be breaking bylaws in a heightened state, what will they do about that? And I'll hand it to Director of Planning and Environment Services. Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The temporary security program will operate under clear contractual and governance arrangements. consistent with other security services used by Council. If our local laws team sees someone who is unwell or distressed, their job is to step back, keep the situation safe and call the right support services such as Ambulance Victoria, Victoria Police or local outreach teams from CoHealth. Security's role is to support local laws officers, helping them carry out their responsibilities and ensuring public spaces can be used safely while treating people with respect and dignity.
Thank you, Mike. The second question is, the Moreton Bay Council have recently been issued with a court injunction to prevent them moving on homeless people. What is the legal basis for the security model that Council is implementing? Can this legal case be released to the community? I'll hand it back to you, Mike, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The temporary security program is being delivered within existing council arrangements. Security staff are there to support local laws officers to safely undertake their responsibilities. They operate within defined roles, are subject to council direction and do not exercise any new or expanded powers. This approach is consistent with how Maribyrnong City Council and other Victorian councils engage contracted security.
Thank you. And the last question is, if Maribyrnong Council is similarly issued with legal injunctions, will our rates be used to defend these cases? Back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, the temporary security program will be closely monitored through regular reporting and feedback with partners and stakeholders. Outcomes will inform any future decisions about its continuation or adjustment. If concerns are raised during the project, these will be addressed through Council's existing accountability processes.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question by Graham Hammond, who asks, at its meeting in July 2024, Council voted to include in its submission to the Victorian Freight Plan a call for a ban on trucks on the Williamstown Road. Advocacy for a Williamstown Road truck ban was also contained in the action plan in Council's Air Quality Improvement Plan in 2022. Can Council provide more details on any discussions that have taken place on this issue since 2022 between Council and State Government, and what its next steps will be if Government continues to ignore such advocacy? Over to you, Director of Infrastructure Services, Acting Peter White, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Council has supported the concerns of residents in the Yarraville and Kingsville areas regarding both the short-term impacts of the Westgate Tunnel project and the longer-term effects of truck traffic on Williamstown Road. As part of the Westgate Tunnel project, the State Government are introducing 24-hour no-truck zones on 6 inner west roads, including Francis Street and Somerville Road in Yarraville. Council requested in its submission to the state's Victorian Freight Plan that Williamstown Road should also have a similar truck ban, but this is not in the government's current plan. This was further reiterated in Council's recent submission to the Port of Melbourne's draft Port Development Strategy 2055. Excuse me. While the responsibility for designated truck routes on arterial roads such as Williamstown Road lies with the Victorian Government, excuse me, Council continues to advocate strongly to the Department of Transport and Planning for a truck ban on Williamstown Road to protect community health, safety and amenity.
Thank you. And the next question is by Edward Merrifield, who asks the following questions. Question 1. Sheoak Ward Councillor, Deputy Mayor Councillor Thomas for Footscray CBD and Wattle Ward Councillor Pereira recently attended the Borderlands meeting against Council's proposal for security patrols. The community would like to know if they support the security proposal or not, since they voted in support on the recent motion. And did any other councillors attend? I'd like to ask each of the councillors if they're okay to respond. Yep, Councillor Thomas.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, Mr Merrifield's right. I did attend the Footscray Safety Forum titled Exploring Safer and Supportive Responses for Our Community. I attended to listen. You know, I know that's what a lot of us, all of us councillors do from time to time. We seek the views of the community, as many people in the community as possible. So that's what I did. I attended to listen to what those members of the community attended, and it was a really interesting forum. And, well, Councillor Pereira attended, but none of the other councillors did.
Thank you. And Councillor Pereira?
I'm happy to respond as well. Yes, I went along again, simply to listen. We all attend as many events as we possibly can, and that's with traders, organisations, residents, community groups, so that we get a really holistic picture of the sentiment in our community. And none of it is an indication of how we might vote on things, but I think it's important to get a very holistic picture of people's ideas and so that we can make an informed decision. So I welcome anybody to always feel free to email me or call me, and I'm more than happy to meet with you. And it's one of the things that I love about this role.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira, and thank you, Councillor Thomas. The second question submitted by Edward Merrifield has been disallowed under clause 52.8 of Council's governance rules and will not be read out or responded to. Next question is from Liesl Thomas on behalf of Maribyrnong Track Action Group, who asks the following question. Question 1. The Maribyrnong Track Action Group is pleased that Council is continuing to take action to address the environmental concerns brought about the poor air quality in the city and impact on the health of Maribyrnong community, and wants to know, is there anything MTAG can do to support the implementation of the action in Council's air quality improvement plan that are ongoing, in progress, or not yet started? I'll get Director of Planning and Environment Services, Mike, please, to respond.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Council is awaiting the outcome of 2 funding applications submitted in conjunction with Melbourne University and RMIT.
Sorry, Mike, I'm just going to interrupt you there. We've just run out of time, so I'll just get the consent of other councillors. Councillors, with your consent, propose an extension to public question time of 15 minutes. Thank you, councillors. We'll now continue with public question time. Sorry, Mike, could you please restart the answer again, please?
No worries. So Council is awaiting the outcome of 2 funding applications submitted in conjunction with Melbourne University and RMIT. These are focused on air quality monitoring and anti-idling. If successful, these projects will be led by the university partners and delivered in 25-26 financial year. There will be a role for MTAG in assisting to identify appropriate locations for interventions and disseminating education materials and communications to the broader community. MTAG obviously has strong local knowledge and many connections throughout the community. An effective role for MTAG would be to help Council inform the broader community about air quality, sharing information from Council, EPA and other relevant sources. Council officers would welcome the opportunity to meet with MTAG to discuss opportunities, particularly regarding a locally informed community education program. Council will also be reviewing the recently released Victorian Freight Plan to understand the opportunities to work with the state government. This includes the direction included in the plan to make use of smart technologies to support more effective monitoring and management of the impacts of heavy vehicle operation on local roads, starting in Melbourne's inner west.
Thanks, Mike. Moving on to the next question by Ken Betts, who asks the following questions. Why do we need more pop-up parks in Austin Street, Seddon? Footscray Park, our major large park by the river, is underutilised as we already park in Gammon Street in Seddon, just around the corner from Charles Street, Seddon. As a resident who lived in Austin Street, Seddon in the past for many years. I might get Director of Planning, Mike, if you could respond to that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The Council adopted the Seddon Neighbourhood Plan in 2025 and identified the creation of a new public open space that is centrally located and proximate to vibrant, thriving businesses. The Austin Street pop-up park had overwhelming support by submitters to the Seddon Neighbourhood Plan. The pop-up park will be trialled for 18 months with council officers monitoring occupancy rates and community feedback.
Thank you. And second question is, what is factually taking place in Madden Square? The breakdown costs to date to all the changes, etc. And have you consulted Fred Madden? I believe he deserves the courtesy of being involved. Go back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Madden Square is undergoing renewal works in response to a number of community requests in relation to activating the public open space to improve perceptions of safety and to enhance the existing public place. Construction will be complete and fully functional by early October. Construction costs amount to around $110,000. Skate element construction is around $15,000. Acrylic playing surface is around $19,000, and light boxes and additional functional lighting is around $15,000, totalling $159,000 all up. Ongoing engagement with traders backing onto Madden Square is continuing to ensure that the new works are supported through the activation of the buildings on the edge of the square. Fred Madden was not specifically consulted on the works. However, officers would be more than happy to engage with Fred and talk him through the upgrades to the space, which aim to create an inclusive and vibrant public place in central Footscray.
Thanks, Mike. And just for the benefit of people watching and listening, Fred Madden was former mayor, amongst other things, and is one who the park is named after. So moving on to the third question, what action has Council taken to make the Footscray CBD a safer city? I specifically refer to the Nicholson Street Mall, the businesses that are operating in area and homeless, etc. Back to you, Mike, please, to answer that.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. There's a substantial update regarding Footscray included in tonight's agenda via the response to the Notice of Motion 2025/02.
Thanks, Mike. And I believe that's all the public questions that we have. So public question time is now closed at 7:08 p.m. We'll now move on to confirmation of minutes. Agenda item 6.1, confirmation of minutes from the 22nd July 2025. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Lamb.
Office recommendation. Office recommendations that council confirm the minute of the council meeting held on 22nd July 2025.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Meredith. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. Just wait for the governance to initiate the e-vote. The motion is carried. Councillors, I'd like to advise that there are no reports from committees to be tabled at this meeting tonight, and also there are no petitions to be tabled at the meeting tonight. We'll now move on to the officer reports. There's only a wee amount, I think about 17 of them, so let's have fun. So agenda item 9.1, adoption of the Council Plan 2025 to 2029. I call for a councillor to move the motion. Councillor Yengi.
That Council note the community engagement process and the Phase 3 engagement summary report shown at attachment 2 and adopt the Council Plan 2025 to 2029 shown at attachment 1.
I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Semra. Are there any questions or points of clarification? Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Sure, I'll just say a couple of things. I think I've previously said this, but yeah, this council plan has been a labour of love, and basically we've tried to build on the community's vision by creating a plan that embodies what our community's needs, wants and future aspirations are. I'd just like to acknowledge that there is a lot of need in our community, and there are limited resources. But despite this, we have created a plan that ensures we continue to deliver on the services that will enable our community not only to grow, but to thrive now and into the future. I'd also just like to thank everybody who contributed as part of the community consultation process and took the time to provide feedback. I know that we had quite a lot of different plans circulating at the same time, so really appreciate everyone who took the time to provide their input, which is really, really important. We can't, do what we do without your input.
Thank you, Councillor Yengi. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'll just reiterate what Councillor Yengi has said. There has been considerable engagement from community. 2,900 residents have engaged on these documents across multiple in-person and online channels, providing over 1,000 individual contributions. So this is something that, you know, as a community, we can all own a piece of and be proud of. So I'd just like to thank everyone that contributed and that was a part of the journey.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Pereira.
Yeah, I agree with the other councillors, but also just to say that the community is asking us to be creative and innovative and courageous through this plan in setting some ambitious priorities. And through this document, we're asking that of ourselves as well. So, and it was a great collaboration amongst all of us. So I'm very excited about this plan. And also that some of the feedback that was given while the plan itself might not have changed, all of that feedback has been captured within our other strategies and action plans. So please note that it's been taken very much on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. Yes, and I support what the three councillors have said, so I'm not going to go over that. But I did just want to pull out, often with these kinds of plans, you know, there's a lot of maybe buzzwords or words that people will see kind of throughout the plan, things like that are under the strategic objectives that we've selected and collectively come up with. So ethical governance, wellbeing and safety, environmental sustainability, thriving community and connected community. And they're all, I guess, on one level, they're derived, I guess, from the values that the councillors share, because those just the discussions that we've had, you know, we've come up with those together, but also that we know we share with many people in our community. So they're not just words on a page. They'll be, in a practical sense, they'll come to life through the action plan. We've got a 1-year action plan at the moment, and through the subsequent 4 years, you know, hopefully our community will see these objectives and these words in action. And at the end of the 4 years, you know, we will have that, you know, we will sort of added to or created an even more sort of sustainable, environmentally and in many other ways, a vibrant community and a really inclusive and thriving community. So that's where we're headed. We're committed to this as councillors, and we're committed to, you know, achieving the things that are contained in the plan alongside and in partnership with the community. So, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Meredith.
Well, I think my fellow councillors have said pretty much everything, but I think I'll just like to say thank you to the community for contributing your ideas, and I really also enjoyed the collaborative process with my councillors as well and the officers, and I'm really looking forward to seeing these actions, in progress as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Lamb.
Thank you.
You're just turning your mic on.
Thanks, Mayor. First, I would like to thank you that Mr. Luke Gosselin, Director of Customer and Corporate Services, and the manager, Terry Rowe, who are working really hard to get a various consultation. And thank to all the residents and the community for their input into this plan. It is very important. I can see other councillors already mentioned that, but it is really important to acknowledge that and thank for everybody involved input into that significant plan.
Thank you, Councillor Lamb. And I might add, as for me, that the council plan is the key roadmap that guides everything we do as a council over the next 4 years. It takes a community's vision and turns it into clear priorities backed by resources and measurable outcomes. It's how we make sure your voices are reflected in our decisions, how we stay accountable and transparent, and how we keep Maribyrnong moving in the right direction. So this is the cornerstone of our city's future direction, and as many of the councillors noted, it took many months of collaborations, workshops and engagement to complete, and I especially wanted to commend all my fellow councillors for the dedication in getting us to this point, noting that most of us councillors were quite newbies at this. So I also sincerely thank all the officers who guided us in this process and pulled together the detail. The plan sets out the priorities that will shape how we grow, deliver services and invest in our community over the next 4 years. So thanks to all involved. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Moving on to agenda item 9.2, adoption of the final financial plan 2025 to 2035. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
That Council 1, note the community engagement process and the Phase 3 engagement summary report shown at attachment 1, and 2, adopt the financial plan 2025 to 2035 shown at attachment 2.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Pereira. Are there any questions or points of clarification? Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Oh, yep. I'd just say a couple of things. I guess just in light of what the councillors have all shared about the importance of the council plan. Well, we can't have a strong and effective council plan without a strong financial plan, because the financials do underpin council's ability to not just prepare a whole range of plans or strategies or develop programs, but of course to implement those. To plan not just for the next 12 months or the next 4 years, but long into the future. And you'll notice that this plan is a 10-year plan, because that's how much into the future we need to sort of forecast to make sure that the business of supporting the community and providing all of the infrastructure and community services, open space, supportive programs, youth services, etc., that they're funded, and they're funded to the extent that they should be, or that we want them to be, and that also we remain a fully solvent organisation so that we can do that. It's a lot of work goes into this as well. We've had community input as well as a lot of work in the background from council officers as well to get us to this point. So happy to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
No, I think Councillor Thomas covered everything. Formally seconded.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? No, I'll quickly say that I just wanted to thank the finance team. You all know who you are. I won't go into all the names, but for preparing the critical 10-year plan. It gives our community certainty that council is financially sustainable and able to deliver key projects. By mapping out, as Councillor Thomas says, over the next decade of budgets, it ensures that we can balance today's needs with the long-term investments. So thank you to all involved. Councillors, I will now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.3, adoption of the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan 2025 to 2029. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Lamb.
Officer's recommendation that Council number 1 note the community engagement process and the page 3 engagement summary report shown at attachment 1. Number 2, adopted the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Plan 2025 to 2029 shown at attachment 2. And 3, not the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Action Plan 2025-26 shown at attachment 3.
Thank you, Councillor Lam. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Yengi. You're both together. Councillor Yengi. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Yes, briefly. Again, thank you very much, Acting Director Francis O'Brien, Acting Director for Community Life, and the public and the managers who's involved, Susan Patterson, Manager Community Outcome. I think it's really, public health is very important for individual well-being. Everybody, it's so important. And then we are council, we look after we look after that, and we also concern, and we, see it's important for everyone. So look at from the well-being, safety, environmental, sustainability, and connecting to the community for creating, well-being and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lam. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, to say that this is another critical plan which outlines, I guess, how we're going to support our community to achieve, I guess, health and well-being. And I'd also like to thank, again, the community for getting involved and providing input through the consultation process. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hingy. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Meredith.
Yeah, I would just like to thank the officers for all of their work on this document, and I'd like to encourage the community to read the document as well. And it does connect with the council plan, and it's a great document, and it shows a lot of action in there too. So recommend reading, recommend having a look, and thank you to everybody that's contributed and the officers as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Move on to agenda item 9.4, adoption of the Asset Plan 2025-2035. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
That Council 1 note the community engagement process and the Phase 3 engagement summary report shown at attachment 2, and 2, adopt the Asset Plan 2025 to 2035 shown at attachment 1.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Semra. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Just say a couple of things. Again, this is another one of those overlooked but extremely important plans that Council needs to prepare and adopt. We've got just over $1 billion worth of assets across the city that Council's responsible for managing and maintaining. And it doesn't happen by itself. It happens through a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, a lot of future and forward planning, planning for growth, planning for growth and expansion, planning for things like the impacts of climate change, for the shifting, I guess, demographic, nature of our community, and of course the needs that come with that. So, of course, our assets, run from anything from recreation and open space to buildings to drainage to transport. So everywhere you stand, every building you're in that's council-owned, every field that you walk on is included in our considerations under the asset plan. So again, I know there's been a lot of thanking of the officers tonight, but this again it's a big piece of work, and again, it's one of those things that ensures that council can sustain the growing number of assets that we do have into the future. Thanks everybody for your participation in this process as well, to the community.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what Councillor Thomas has said. There's 60,000 public assets, council managers with, over $1 billion worth that benefits our community. So a big thank you must go to, infrastructure team and all officers involved in ensuring that community assets, meet community needs. It is a big job to do, and such an important document that we're passing today.
Thanks, Councillor Semra. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. I'll put the motion now to a vote. Councillors, please cast your vote. The motion is carried. Move on to agenda item 9.5, Austin Street Pop-Up Park. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
Sorry. That Council 1 endorse the full closure option, brackets option 2, of the concept plan shown at attachment 3 for a temporary 18-month trial for the Austin Street Pop-Up Park, and 2, note that a future report will be presented to Council after the trial period to determine the future of the project.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Pereira. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
I sure would. This is, I think it's an exciting new third space for Seddon Village, and creating these kinds of third spaces where there's an opportunity for the community just to come together to, in the centre of the village, really plays a key role in what it means to create community.
Sorry, Councillor Thomas, my mistake. I'll take you a step back. Before you speak to the motion, I should have asked you if there's any questions or points of clarifications from anyone, any other councillors. So are there any questions or points of clarifications on the Austin Street Pop-Up Park agenda?
Not the Austin Street Pop-Up Park agenda.
No? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's all right.
Sure. Thank you. Please continue.
That's okay. Where was I up to? Look, I think it's, I'm confident that this is going to be a really great third space where people can come together in the centre of the village. We already have Harris Reserve around the corner. We have the Bristow Playground around the corner in Pilgrim Street. We've previously had, during COVID, some parklets on the street. We've got a lot of on-street dining from cafes and restaurants, even up to the Vic Hotel. So I really think that the proposed park is going to sort of just add another element into sort of that outdoor nature of how people interact in Seddon Village. I mean, I spoke to someone today and I said, look, I'm in Seddon Village just about every single day because I have to go through, I do shopping there, and other people are the same. I think this is just going to, it's just going to add another great element. It's going to help to build community. It'll be a little place where people can, come together to celebrate, or maybe just to grab a coffee or something and meet up. And particularly for, younger people where, most spaces, you have to sort of spend money to go to. Well, this will be one of those spaces, particularly for young people, where they can just simply, hang out, develop independence, build relationships and feel part of their community as well. So it's an 18-month trial. I'm really looking forward to it starting. I hope the people of Seddon and who live in Seddon, and also the visitors who come, will really make good use of the space once it's up and running. So thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great opportunity to have a bit of public open space in the middle of Seddon. A trial is a really good way for the community to get a sense of what it's like, to use it, to experience the space, and a good opportunity to bring a little bit more green into the middle of the village.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Meredith.
Yep. I don't think there's much else that I can say apart from what's already been said, but I see this as a safe, green, welcoming place for people to gather, and another green pop-up space. I think that's is a benefit. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Councillor Yengi.
Yes, so I just wanted to briefly acknowledge that I know during the consultation process that we had a lot of, I guess there were some community members who raised concerns regarding the use of synthetic turf for the pop-up park trial, and I just wanted to acknowledge, on behalf of council as well, acknowledge the concerns raised, and just to reassure community that yes, council has received the feedback, and we're exploring alternative materials such as painted surfaces soft surfaces and poured recycled rubber with a colour treatment during the design development phase. I also would like to encourage any community members who would like to, I guess, touch base with council and have a bit more of a chat around this design process and just to understand, yeah, how we're going to progress and, you know, what materials may be used. But again, we acknowledge the concerns raised and are exploring alternative materials to be used.
Thank you, Councillor Yengi. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.6, Draft Road Management Plan 2025, Community Engagement Phase. I'll call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Semra.
The council endorsed the Draft Road Management Plan 2025 shown in attachment 1 for the purpose of community engagement and notes that following the community engagement process, a final report will be presented to council to adopt the Road Management Plan 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Meredith. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
So through internal review and benchmarking, so there's been a couple of updates that have been proposed, some key ones being proactive inspection of curbs and channels, night safety inspections, so introducing 48-month inspections for roads, categories 2 and 3, which were not previously included. Also, street tree maintenance on roads, so extending maintenance response times to reflect practicality and delays associated with state government permit requirements. Also, street tree maintenance on pathways, so aligning pathway categories with the new street tree maintenance timeframes, which is 30 days. So there's been a lot of MAV, I think, recommendations that have been adopted, and which is a great way forward.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. I'll put the motion to a vote now. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.7, Draft Domestic Animal Management Plan. I'll call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas. I'll call for a councillor, please read the motion.
Yep, that council approve the draft Domestic Animal Management Plan 2026 to 2029 for community consultation.
Thank you. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Pereira. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I'll say a couple of words. So council, under one of the acts, the Domestic Animals Act, has to prepare a domestic animal management plan and sort of outline all of the services that we're going to deliver under this, or the strategies that we're going to develop and put forward that sort of outline how domestic animal management will occur across the municipality. Council has, of course, had one before, but there are some key new initiatives that have been introduced into this version of the domestic animal management plan. Some of those focus on, I guess, education and the importance of keeping dogs on leads and being a sort of a responsible dog owner. The focus on cat curfews and cat desexing, and people will note that one of the big changes is supporting a cat curfew with some community education to sort of lead into the curfew being introduced. Mandatory cat desexing with some discounts for low-income residents. Partnerships with the vets and rescue groups. Expanding microchip audits and improving our data so that we can sort of manage complaints more efficiently as well. So there's a lot in there, but if you own a cat or a dog or a guinea pig or another domestic animal, I would encourage you to go onto your City Your Voice and get involved in the community consultation, because we really are interested, particularly for those newer initiatives that are being introduced. We're really keen to hear what the community thinks. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Oh, Councillor Pereira, yes. For the second, I'd like to speak to the motion.
Sure. Just to say that pets can be enormously beneficial in supporting individual and community wellbeing, and this document, I think, offers a nice balance between achieving the wellbeing of pets and humans, but also our non-human residents in the natural world. And I'm looking forward to the feedback on the plan. So yeah, get involved.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Meredith, I guessed it.
As a huge animal lover, particularly dogs, I would highly recommend getting online and having a look at the draft and having your say. I think it's really important to have your say on this. One part that really stood out for me is strengthening the education around responsible pet ownership, which includes looking at leash laws, desexing, wildlife protection, which really important to me. There's also a fair bit there on domestic animal businesses as well, and there's an opportunity there to build a relationship and have some education there as well, and partnering with Parks Victoria. And I just really enjoyed that education side, and I would highly recommend everyone getting online and having a look and having your say.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. So, councillors, I'll now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.8, Draft Live Music Action Plan 2026 to 2028. I call for a councillor to move the motion. Councillor Pereira.
Press the button. That council endorse the Draft Live Action Music Plan. Is that the wrong way around?
Yeah.
Live Music Action Plan for 2026 to 2028, shown in attachment 1 for the purposes of community engagement, and notes that following the community engagement process, a final report be presented to council to adopt the Live Music Action Plan 2026 to 2028.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Thomas. Are there any questions or points of clarification? Nope. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Sure. This plan aims to position Maribyrnong as a music-friendly city and a highly rated music destination. If you're in the music scene or enjoy attending events, then please explore this document and contribute your feedback. We have some great venues and great musicians and very passionate audiences, and we know that music and food are two things that bring people together as social beings, and that this plan can support communities' social culture. So please have a read, get involved, and give us your feedback, because we're excited to embed that voice into this plan and deliver great programs moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'll just say a couple of things. We know that music is one of those things that brings people together, and over quite a few years right across Maribyrnong, it's brought people out of their houses in Maribyrnong, but also quite a lot of people into the city just to experience the variety of music opportunities, music events. And I think over sort of the course of, maybe the last 10, even 15 years, I think our council's ability to, and the communities as well, of course, ability to provide a really diverse range of musical experiences has gone from strength to strength, and it's really very clearly matured over time. We've got a really creative community, and part of that creative community are includes a lot of musicians. We've also got a really diverse musical community as well, and so I'm really looking forward to what this action plan will be able to do, because it's not trying to do everything, but it is going. I think it's going to be really effective in quite a number of ways, because what it has done is responded to things that the community have been telling us for some time. So reducing barriers, regulatory barriers to putting on musical events, supporting venues, whether they're small ones or outdoor, small little bars or outdoor venues, helping to invest in the promotion of events across the municipality as well. So there's a lot in here, and I'd really, really strongly encourage anyone who plays music or loves music to get involved in the community consultation, because we're, of course, really want to hear from as many people as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion?
I might say...
Councillor Ying, yep.
Sorry. I think in a nutshell, we need to up our live music game. And we have some great businesses out there that are doing some amazing stuff, and we've got lots of really amazing, talented artists in our municipality. So we need your support through the consultation process. Please encourage all your friends, family, anybody you come across to provide input into this document, because we want to make our city better, and we can't do it without your support.
Thank you, Councillor Yangi. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Oh, well, I just wanted Councillor Meredith.
Sorry, last minute.
Last minute.
As my fellow colleagues were saying, councillors were saying, that I would encourage people to get online and have a look, have a read, and contribute their ideas. This is a real fantastic opportunity for Maribyrnong to build on some great musicians and venues and everything like that we have here. So I think it's a great idea, and yeah, put your ideas in.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. I just wanted to say a big thank you to our arts and culture team. And as other councillors have mentioned, this plan celebrates our identity as Melbourne's inner west creative hub. It supports venues, musicians and audiences, helping to keep live music thriving in Maribyrnong. I'm really excited on hearing communities' views on how to shape this plan, and I can't wait for big musical events to come back to some of our big places like Footscray Park and other local venues. I'm also looking forward to hearing contributions from some of our great music venues, such as, not limited to, but to some of them, such as Kindred Studios, Footscray Community Arts, Mama Chen, Pride Bar, Littlefoot, and many of the others. Would love your input. So this is your time. So we're looking forward to the entire community's views. Thanks again to everyone involved in this. So any other councillors? No? I'd now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your vote. The motion is carried. Move on to agenda item 9.9, Harris Reserve Concept Plan. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
That Council 1 endorse the Harris Reserve Concept Plan shown at attachment 2. 2 notes the community feedback provided on the draft Harris Reserve Concept Plan shown at attachment 3. And 3 supports the commencement of the implementation of the concept plan with the budget allocated for that purpose for the 2025-26 financial year.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Pereira. Are there any questions or points of clarification?
I
Councillor
did.
Thomas?
Oh, sorry. Yep. I did have a couple of questions. I was going to ask, but I think because we had the public question, so I'll just say I was going to ask whether the project was on the forward capital works budget, so not just in 2025 but 2026, 27, and the CEO has assured us that it is in the 4-year forward plan, and that there will be an implementation plan for the works that aren't listed as being completed in 2025, 26 that will hopefully be forwarded into 2026, 27. So I hope that, yeah, the responses that the CEO gave earlier give the community that confidence that we won't just stop halfway through the project, that we will complete it ASAP. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I might ask the CEO to reiterate if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mayor, just to reassure the community that this is the 2-year project. There has been 100,000 allocated for this financial year, 25-26, and the second year, 26-27. The cost will be around 200,000. It will include lighting, which we will speak to the community about before we install, and that will be approved through next year's budget. And as I said, we will now have that. It was included in the minor park upgrades budget, but we will now include that as a line item in next year's budget, so everybody's clear that it's in there. We look forward to having it finished.
Thank you for that, CEO. Will the mover like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, just say a couple of things. This is a lovely little, no, not that small, but it's a reasonably smallish local park. It's got some seating, it's got a bit of green space, it's got a kids' playground as well. It's really well used by families with small kids, by teenagers, by older folks as well. It's a really well-loved park, and it does need, I think, it's overdue for a refresh. So the concept plan that's contained in the report, shows that there will be a couple of changes, a new shelter, upgrades to the paths, some new trees in there, moving the seats, a little bit of signage, etc. So it'll just and some lighting as well, and it'll just get a refresh and make it a little more workable now that it is getting so much use. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the works complete. And I guess that, a lot of people know that the public toilet was put in, last year, I think that was, or the year before, I've just forgotten, but within the last couple of years. So, that's a really great addition to this great little park. So thanks to the CEO for confirming that, and I'm sure that the community will be really happy to see these works implemented. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion? Councillor Pereira.
Sure, just to thank the community for their ongoing participation and advocacy for this park. It's quite a small little park, but it really punches above its weight and achieves a lot. And there's a lot of program in there already, and a lot of programming planned. And I think that diversity is really important because it supports a lot of people to get value out of this space. So I hope everyone's excited and looking forward to it, and we're certainly excited to see it come to life.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. Councillors, I'll now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes. Bless you. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.10, Signature Festival and Activations Grants Program Funding Recommendations Report. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Lamb.
That Council number 1 endorse the Signature Festival and Activation Grant Program 2025-26 funding recommendation as shown on attachment 2 to this report.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Semra. Are there any questions or points of clarifications? Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
briefly. Again, thank you very much for the Director Moy McIntosh and his staff involved, and also the community. I love the Maribyrnong called Festival City. I'm so proud to everywhere that at the event festival, I just say we are the festival city. We are indeed. It's just a name a few of the festival, which is very important. And the festival is where the people coming and enjoy with the friend, family, and everybody come to the festival to receive that some fun and harmony. Like just to name a few, the Blacksmith Festival, Carol in the Garden, and East West Festivals in Footscray for the New Year, Asian Vietnamese New Year, and Footscray West Writer Fest, Little Africa Night Market, Quang Minh Temple Festival. Every year the Quang Minh Temple attracting about more than 15,000 people come over to enjoy with the family and friends. Set and fun and game day. Our festival, West Footscray Festival of Colour is also another significant one. Yarraville Festival, a number of few, and it's really important we give that opportunity for people coming out of the house and be with friend, family, and everybody else. It's a neighbour and the community together and enjoy themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lam. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. The objective of the Signature Festival and Activation Grants Program is to support dynamic mix of festivals and activations, as highlighted by Councillor Lam. And, it's an opportunity to creatively activate the city spaces. In particular, I'm looking at, the Footscray CBD and some of the activations that are coming about from this grant. Also encourages cultural tourism and strong economic activity. Provides paid opportunities for local cultural and creative sectors. And it also provides and promotes collaboration between local business and creatives. And it also helps to strengthen precinct and neighbourhood identity. As Councillor Lam highlighted, Maribyrnong, is the festival city, as we would like to call it.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion?
Yep.
Councillor Thomas?
Oh, okay. I thought Councillor Meredith had gone on before me.
Yeah.
Only just to add that, of course, with all council grants programs, we always receive more applications with a bigger financial price tag than we can offer to support. Under this program, we do have an independent panel that assesses each of the applications on its merits against the criteria. So unfortunately, there will be some groups that will miss out, but we will, of course, also have we've got a great, as Councillor Lam, mentioned, there's a great sort of diversity of festivals as well. So, but don't not put your application in, because you've got to be in it to win it. And we'll have some great events coming up over the next 12 months.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Meredith.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to all of the individuals and groups that have submitted their applications. There's a lot of high quality, a lot of diversity, and it just reflects the creativity and commitment within our community. And I'd encourage people to keep applying for these grants. And as Cook Lam said, there's many different festivals within the area, and we're always wanting to add more to it. So keep applying, and really thank you for putting those applications in.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Councillor Yengi. Councillor Pereira first.
I just wanted to add that if you missed out on a grant for this process, or if you're seeing this and you have a great idea, then definitely reach out to Council, because we do have other programs coming up. You don't have to wait a whole year. I think there's a program, Love Your West.
Yeah, it is. It's Lavia West.
That's,
Yes.
that's opening soon. So, so keep an eye out for that and yeah, apply.
Thank you, Councillor Yangi.
I actually just really wanted to say thanks to everybody who's taken the time to submit applications for these grants, but also really wanting to thank all the different groups and individuals out there who work really hard to put on a lot of these festivals and activations that really contribute to shaping and building the inclusive community that we are, and, you know, help us reach that help us aspire to be what we want to be. There's a lot of groups that probably didn't get funding this round, and I'm sure most of them may still continue to run with some of their activations and programs. So really wanting to just, thank them for helping to bring our city together, because without them, we probably, you know, wouldn't have the community that we have right now.
Thank you, Councillor Yangi. Any other councillors? Nope. Well, I'll just add that congratulations firstly to all those who were successful in this round. I'm looking forward to attending some of those great events, and to those who applied but were not successful this time, I just want to acknowledge, as other councillors said, the effort, time and the heart that goes into putting forward an application. I hear it all the time. The grants application process is tedious and long. You know, it takes a lot to get there, but if it's any consolation, in my previous life, it took me 2 or 3 years to apply and to get the first grant. So please don't give up, don't be discouraged. Your ideas matter, you know, your festivals are great, and encourage each of you to reapply, as Councillor Pereira said, in the next round, or explore the other council grants and opportunities. Each round is highly competitive, and while we can't fund every project, we truly value the vision that you bring to the city. So thanks to you all. So councillors, I will now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Move on to agenda item 9.11, response to the notice of motion 2025/02, enhancing community safety and wellbeing in Maribyrnong. I'll call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Semrau.
That council note the response to the notice of motion 2025/02, enhancing community safety and wellbeing in Maribyrnong, and the work undertaken to date in addressing community safety and wellbeing across Maribyrnong, and particularly in the Footscray Central Business District. And 2, note that measures to address community safety and wellbeing are included in key strategic documents, being the Council Plan 2025-29 and the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Plan adopted by Council on 19th of August 2025. Implementation of actions within these plans will be ongoing over the next 4 years, with regular reporting of progress made to Council.
Thank you. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Yangi, would the mover like to speak to the motion?
So back in March, developed alongside councillors, I put forward a notice of motion on enhancing community safety and wellbeing. Since then, we've seen strong progress and I believe many outcomes. A Footscray revitalisation lead is now in place, improving coordination with traders and community services. We've established a multi-agency homelessness response group, ensuring issues are being addressed in a more coordinated way. Regular meetings with Vic Paul and the Mayor lead to strengthening our local partnership. The cleansing timetable in Nickerson Street Mall has been reviewed, making the heart of Footscray continue to be cleaner and more welcoming. Council has developed a 3-year public realm program worth over $8 million in capital investment across Footscray CBD and surrounds. We've also introduced just recently a 6-month security trial, which should begin shortly in the CBD. And our CCTV system has been upgraded, which directly links to Vic Paul for faster, more effective coordination. But this is just the beginning, and I know there's been some community programs that have come about recently, the Footscray Neighbourhood Watch, and there's opportunity there to support their growth and development to ensure that we are building the capacity of residents when it comes to crime prevention. But this is just the beginning. A comprehensive action plan is currently being developed to guide the next phase of the work. Since this motion was first endorsed, we've also had strong announcements from state government, including new mental health hub in partnership with the council, which will come into place, we don't know the exact time, but hopefully by the end of the year or early next year in Footscray, and a mental health local opening by the end of 2025. These are major wins for our community. So tonight I want to acknowledge the work that's been achieved in such a short time, thank officers for their commitment, and make clear to the community that this council is listening, acting, and continuously to work collaboratively with community, agencies, and each other for change.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
I feel like Mohammed stole my speech. No. I guess just to reiterate a lot of what Mohammed has said and just reassure the community that community safety and wellbeing is very important to all of us councillors. It is very much a focus point for us. We acknowledge a lot of the concerns that's been shared by the community. Also just want to note that community safety and wellbeing is an issue that is not only impacting the Maribyrnong community, but is impacting lots of other communities and councils across Victoria. As Mohammed mentioned, and through this update, we have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I know it might not seem like it to a lot of our community members, but there is a lot of work happening behind the scenes with service providers, state government, and other groups. And we're really focused on trying to develop meaningful solutions that aren't a band-aid fixture, but rather address the root causes of some of the issues that are impacting our community. I would like to thank the Municipal Association of Victoria, who have recently established a community safety and resilience advisory panel to support local councils in advocating to state government, particularly looking at a multi-pronged approach to safety and wellbeing for all communities across Victoria. There is much work still to be done, and we look forward to keeping the community updated.
Thank you, Councillor Yengi. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Meredith.
I think my fellow councillors have said it all. However, I will say that we are working together, and we do have the community at our focus there as well. And I do appreciate all of the work that all the councillors are doing, and also all of the staff behind the scenes are doing as well. So this has definitely been a huge focus for us, and there is a lot of work going on in the background, and hopefully we will be able to put a lot of that forward, or council will be able to put that forward really soon.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Moving on to agenda item 9.12, Air Quality Improvement Plan, Annual Progress Report. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Pereira.
Oops. Is that working? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Council note Air Quality Improvement Plan Annual Progress Report and the progress of the Council Plan 2021 to 2025 Action 2.4.1 in the 2024-2025 financial year.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Thomas. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, just to say that we have some really quite dire health outcomes in the West, and I'm very glad to see Council taking such an active role in addressing these issues. Unfortunately, there's lots of things that are beyond our control, and we're limited to advocacy, but we're doing that quite forcefully. There's also a number of things that we can tackle, and we're endeavouring to do that wherever we can in the programs available to us. But I also invite the community to get involved with advocacy and see what they can do themselves to address this issue and to keep being engaged in this, because it's not going away, and it takes all of us to collaborate to achieve better outcomes for air quality and health in the West.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks. I think my interest in this area was started in 2020 when I read the Inner West Air Quality Community Reference Group report, which outlined all of the terrible health statistics and ways that air quality was having a negative impact on the Maribyrnong community. So I was really glad when Council supported putting this air quality improvement plan together, because it really just consolidated, work that was already happening, but also set us up for, work at that point in the future. It set us up for doing that work in partnership with community groups like MTAG, the Maribyrnong Truck Action Group, and the Inner West Air Quality Network itself, and Save Willie Road, I think Footscray Truck Action Group, because this is not something that Council can do work on its own. The community has been doing work for many, many decades, as we know, and Council is now, I think, working really well with particularly MTAG, who have got a lot of experience in this area. So it's good to see that we're doing a lot of work. A lot of it is behind the scenes work. It's invisible work. It's advocacy work, which is slow work and takes a long time to, I guess, see the rewards of that work. But we are having wins, and we are making sure that it stays on the agenda of state government, who has a big role to play in improving the frameworks or the physical infrastructure that can then have a positive impact on the health of our community. So thanks to all those people who have been working in the community, working with council officers, supporting council's work, and working in partnership to achieve some of the things that we have achieved through this plan. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? No, thank you. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillor Meredith. Too quick there.
Even though I think
please, Councillor Meredith.
Yeah, I think it's like clean air. It's really important for the health and well-being and livability of the area, and reducing a lot of the harmful pollutants in the environment is a huge priority. And it's very clear that the emissions from transport, the industry, is putting a lot of those toxic emissions into the air. And yeah, I'm really appreciative of Council for a lot of the advocacy work that they have done, and also with MTAG as well, and the Save Willie Road. And it's really important that that the community does get involved and does help drive some of this as well, which is really important for future generations.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Any other councillors would like to speak to the motion? No, so I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. So, yeah, just before we move on to the next agenda item, I just want to go very quickly back to agenda item 9.10, the Signature Festivals and Activations Grants Program. In my thanking the team, I thank the arts and culture team. You guys did nothing, so I'll take the credit back from you. I just wanted to thank Mike's team, Echo Dev and Festivals and Events, so they should get the acknowledgement. Thank you for all the work that your team has done. Thank you for correcting me. So now we'll move on to agenda item 9.13, towards Zero Waste Strategy Annual Progress Report. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Yengi.
Council note the progress of the Council Plan 2021 to 2025, Action 1.2, and the progress against the Towards Zero Waste strategy in the 2024-2025 financial year.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Thomas. Are there any questions or points of clarification? No. Would the mover like to speak to the motion? You might have to say that again, sorry. No, formally moved.
Formally, yep.
Yeah, would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
I'll just say a couple of things. This is a big and ambitious strategy, I think, because as we know, waste and the management of waste is not sort of a set and forget kind of project. We have to continuously be looking at new technologies or new processes or new systems to help to manage waste, to help our residents to reduce the amount of waste that they produce, particularly when we have a growing community. So I know it's been a bit of a challenge, but it's great to get these updates because we can see, I guess, where some of the easier wins are, and where we can see where things that we thought were going to sort of come to fruition, and maybe they have, and that's great, and sometimes they don't. There's a couple of things which, you know, over time have happened. We've now got FOGO, Food Organics, Garden Organics, in our standalone dwellings. So all those people with a green bin, I hope you're putting all your food waste in there because that's what it's for as well. We also have rolled out, I think, the new program called the Bin It Better program, so really trying to encourage people to use their red, green and yellow bin in the right way to reduce contamination. And not only does that reduce the environmental impact of waste, but it also makes sure that council doesn't incur financial penalties when we send off our recycling to be processed. And one, I think, new thing since the last update that we've had are the new drop-off, or our drop-off hubs have had a bit of a refresh. So you'll see them scattered around the municipality at some of our community hubs and libraries. So please have a look at those. You can drop off small items there, and also the drop-off events for the hard-to-recycle items, things like mattresses, which people have really taken to. I think we've had maybe 2 of those events so far, and they've proved really, really popular. So thanks to the team for their continued, the waste or the environment team for their sort of continued, I guess, work towards keeping up with the speed of change in the waste sector and making sure that our community does have the opportunity to, you know, do the right thing with their waste. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Pereira, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the team for Plastic Free July and the event that they held at the Town Hall here recently. And if you missed that, don't worry, you can endeavour to be plastic free all year round. It doesn't have to be just July. So think about how you can reduce your waste through what you purchase, so that you don't have to also stand at the bin holding stuff wondering which bin to put it in, because I know that it's a challenge. And reduce, your waste and your plastic wherever possible. Also, just to remind everybody that the garage sale trail is coming up again around November this year, but also that council has a program called Open Streets that allows you to close your streets to vehicles and have street parties. So I really encourage you to put in an application and close your street and have a garage sale street party and support the circular and relational economy and have a bit of fun.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Meredith.
Yep, only to say thanks to the officers for all of the work that you've done, and I really like the idea of that close the streets and the garage sale trail and being plastic free all year round. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. I'll now like to put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. motion is carried. I'll now move on to agenda item 9.14, Draft Councillor Social Media Policy. I'll call for a councillor to move the motion. Councillor Meredith.
The screen, does it? Ah. Yeah. That council adopt the councillor social media policy shown at attachment 1.
Thank you. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Youngie. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Formally moved.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Formally seconded.
Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. All right. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Moving on to agenda item 9.15, Geographic Naming Proposal, Civic Precinct and Community Hub, Community Park. I'll call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
That Council 1 notes the outcome of the community engagement process for the proposing naming of Balit Bagungagat Banul, and I know I haven't pronounced that properly, I need to practice. 2, formally endorses the name Balit Bagungagat Banhul for the new community park within Maribyrnong City Council Civic Precinct and Community Hub at 61 Napier Street, Footscray. 3, requests the Chief Executive Officer or the delegate to submit the proposed name to Geographic Names Victoria for registration, and 4, notes that council officers will notify the respondents of council's decision.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Very good attempt. So I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Semra. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I mean, I recall when this came to the chamber in the first instance, before it went out to community consultation, and I spoke to it then, and this, of course, is a Woiwurrung name from the offered to us by the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation, who recommended it because it translated to strong people linked together for community and also park, so bringing those two concepts together. So we're really grateful that the Wurundjeri offered us a name and worked with our officers to sort of bring the name to the park, and I think it's a really strong reflection of what was conceived of this space, or what would be achieved by, within this space when it was conceived a few years ago, when council was going through the process of planning to redevelop the site as well. So it was, I mean, I don't think they could have offered us a better name, because it really is about bringing people together, the people in the building and the people in the community in this, I guess, most important of spaces, which is the civic, it's not called the Civic Hub for nothing, and the park is a very key element of the nature of the work and the decisions that are made here and by council on behalf of the community. So I do want to thank the Wurundjeri for offering the name as well, and hope that councillors will support it.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Yep. I'll also like to extend my thanks to the Wurundjeri for offering the name. It is fitting. Strong people linked together. Community. That's I think a great representation of Maribyrnong and the people we have in it. So massive thank you to the Wurundjeri community, and yeah, that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you, Councillor Semra. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Nope. Councillors, I'll now put the motion to a vote. Please cast your votes. The motion is carried. Move on to agenda item 9.16, Municipal Association of Victoria, October 2025 State Council. I call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Pereira.
That Council endorse the 10 motions for submission to the October 2025 State Council of the Municipal Association of Victoria, as shown in Table 1 of this report.
Thank you. I call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Lamb. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Yep. Just to say thank you to the staff for putting these together. It was a great collaboration between councillors and staff and addresses some specific issues being raised by our community that require a strategic approach with the state government's support. We've got some really good motions going forward to the MAV State Council, some on housing, a pressing issue as we develop our housing strategy, and accommodate the new government housing activity centres, including appropriate funding for community amenity. We've got one on air quality and another one on urban greening through water-sensitive urban design, one for greater support for councils to implement citizens' assemblies, and a motion on buyback schemes for gaming machines to address gambling, which is a big issue for us in the West. And finally, one on childcare funding and delivery to ensure that we can meet childcare and kinder need in our community. And I know that a lot of members of our community are going through the process right at the moment of looking for places for next year, and it is causing a lot of stress. And so this is just another way that we can try and address some of those issues that are beyond our control, but are affecting other councils all around the state, and have a voice to the state government.
Thank you, Councillor Pereira. Would the second like to speak to the motion?
Okay, just very briefly, again, thank you very much. That Mr. Gosling and his staff are working with the councillor, put this together. It's a very all item from motion 1 to motion 10 is all important for us and for the community. You can have a look at that, and I think it's really show that just how we're working together. It's covered all the subject and topic for that. So it is important. I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lamb. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Thomas.
Just wanted to add, we've talked a lot tonight. We've approved the council plan, the financial plan, the road management plan to go out, the municipal health and wellbeing plan. We've talked about festivals. We've talked about safety in Footscray, domestic animal management plan. I think that I hope tonight gives people a really good understanding of the breadth of the work that council officers and councillors have to consider each and every week. And in looking at the 10 motions, this could be the most motions that I've seen in the last 5 years going to the MAV State Council. And this group of motions covers, again, a really broad set of issues that council and council officers have to consider and deal with, not just in Maribyrnong, but statewide, because our motions have to be relevant, across the state. So, I think it's just a very good reflection of the work that we all do collectively on behalf of and in support of the community. And I did just want to offer a note of thanks to Councillor Pereira, who is our MAV rep, and to the CEO, who attend the full day negotiations and on council's behalf, do a really good job of representing us and hopefully ensuring that our motions are supported by councils across the state as well. So. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. We'll move on to agenda item 9.17, Governance Report, July 2025. I'll call for a councillor to move a motion. Councillor Thomas.
That Council note the July 2025 governance report.
Thank you. I'll call for a councillor to second the motion. Councillor Meredith. Would the mover like to speak to the motion?
Formally moved.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak to the motion?
Formally seconded.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? No. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Councillors, please cast your votes. The motion is carried. That concludes our agenda items for tonight. I'd just like to advise councillors that there are no notices of motion to be tabled at tonight's meeting. We'll now move on to councillor question time. Councillor question time is managed in accordance with council's governance rules. Councillor question time is limited to 15 minutes unless councillors consent to an extension. Are there any councillor questions? Councillor Thomas?
Thanks, Mayor. I did just want to pick up on one of the, or it's the first of the submissions to public question time tonight, where the questioner was asking about does council have any contract with HP, and whether Caltex is used as a fuel supplier. And perhaps through the Mayor, perhaps to the CEO, just in the response, I wasn't quite sure whether council does actually have it. I can see that in the response there it was about that council engages suppliers through the MAV procurement contracts, but I couldn't quite work out whether through that contract we actually engage HP and Caltex, and so I was just wanting to get a little clarity on that. I'm happy to take on notice, but or if the CEO knows.
Through the Mayor,
I'm happy to answer, Councillor Thomas. The main thing is that council doesn't hold any direct contract with HP, so we don't treat with HP as a council. We don't purchase directly from them, or we don't have a relationship with them. So that's the first part. The second part, with the fuel cards, we do have a fuel card. It's not with Caltex, but if someone does go to a Caltex station, it doesn't stop them using it. But the fleet card is what most councils have, and it allows staff to get fuel from any supplier.
Okay, sorry, just so I've got it in my head. So there's no direct relationship, but we do use, or officers can choose to pull into a Caltex service station. That's right. That's what you're saying. So we don't have a signed contract with.
No, you can get cards just for Caltex. Yeah. But we don't provide that. We use the broader card, and officers can use. They can use that at most, independent service stations and other service stations.
Including Caltex, though.
Yes,
because that's what. Yeah, okay.
Caltex.
I'm just trying to get to the nitty. And then so with HP, because I know mine's covered over with my ally sticker from yesterday. So we've got HP hardware, but we purchase that through the MAV. Is that right? So we don't
procure
go to the
directly
HP shop and
from
buy
HP.
them.
And we did report, if I could add, Mayor, we did report to council last year, and I can see our acting governance and commercial services manager nodding, so he might be able to tell us the month. But we did report to council last year on our procurement and any relationship with Israel, and we did not have any relationship with Israel.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I just needed kind of that clarified. I couldn't quite work it from the responses. So thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other councillor questions? No. If not, then councillor question time is now closed. We'll move on to urgent business. Councillors, are there any items of urgent business? Nope. We'll move on to confidential business. Councillors, there are no confidential business items to be tabled at the meeting. So with that, I declare the meeting closed at 8:31 p.m. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kate.